Hello and welcome to the podcast, Building the Premier Accounting Firm. This is actually a podcast dedicated to owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses, helping them as owners build what we refer to as the premier accounting firm so that they can offer quality accounting services and get paid what they're worth. It's here that we have on the show experts, individuals that can share with us insights as it relates to our business, things that we need to be working on so that we can become the leaders we need to be and tackle those various topics that range from marketing, selling, pricing, onboarding, client stacks, tech stacks, staffing issues, mental health, just a variety of things that we need to consider as we're running our businesses. And today is going to be an excellent day. We have a phenomenal guest on, someone I've been excited to have on the show for some time for a variety of reasons, many of which you're going to learn here today. This happens to be Daniel Dan. He is someone that you're going to need to become familiar with. He became fascinated with marketing and sales almost 2 decades ago. Today, he is the co-creator of the X Factor Effect methodology, where he and his team have actually helped over 20,000 students and clients grow their businesses. Daniel teaches that different is new better, and his framework includes 9 pillars of differentiating your business so that you can become a marketing leader or category king. For several years, Daniel's traveled the world full-time with his wife and 4 children. They continue to travel often and now live in Florida. Daniel Dan happens to be the author of a new book, Ideas That Influence, which has actually built a business and help business owners discover their own wildly successful marketing ideas. So Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Roger. Connect. It's a pleasure to be connecting with Connect.
I love it. You know, my name, it's been leveraged in a variety of ways. I've been told I've been blessed with a name that really does help with the networking side of things. And so, yes.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
And whenever I introduce it, I always say connect, like connect the dots. So it helps people.
There you go. And then you got that communications major. So there you go. Communications major, connecting with Connect and networking. And so it's just all congruent.
There you
go. It's a great fortuitous last name for Roger.
I've lived up to my reputation. Let's say that.
Yep. 100%. I believe you. How many episodes now?
We're nearing 300 at this point.
Wow. Amazing. Incredible.
Yeah.
And helping those bookkeepers and accountants and tax professionals in a big way since 99, right?
That's exactly right.
Working for Universal. Oh my goodness. So congratulations.
Yeah.
It's a huge honor to be here with you.
Well, thank you. When you consider that I've been doing this for over 2 decades, it's just incredible the number of people I've met, the stories I've had. And I'm just honored to now be able to put it in a podcast format and share the information. So this has been a wonderful experience. But you likewise have had a similar journey in the sense that you've been doing this for some time. And at this point, you've become kind of the guru as it relates to marketing and sales, which is a key element of business. So I'm wanting to get into your story a little bit. Do me a favor, kind of give me a background of what got you into where it is now that you've run this business.
Well, thank you so much, Roger. So quick story. So both you and I, we went to the same college.
We did.
Provo, Utah. Now, I took a total of 1 marketing class at BYU. 1. And so it was like a marketing business class, and it was my favorite class. And at the end, I was like, why didn't I get like a business degree? Like, what was I thinking? Like that, like, cause I was already entrepreneurial. I already owned my own business. Now at the time I had a party business. Okay. And so this is why I get a little animated at times when I'm jumping on. It's because I used to kind of be like a clown. All right. So I was, in Utah, I used to call myself, so I was a very famous balloon artist in Utah, famous for Utah. And I used to call myself the fastest balloon in the West, meaning that I was the fastest balloon tire. And back when the Mayan restaurant.
Oh, I remember the Mayan restaurant up in Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. So if you went at least a few times, you probably saw balloon artists there. And I was one of the main balloon artists at the Mayan restaurant. And I became very popular very fast and started doing multiple parties. And then I transitioned to that and into an inflatables rental business as well.
Okay.
And just grew this. And that was all while I was going to school. And so at the end of it all, I'm like, man, I'm entrepreneurial. But then I took that one class, that one business class, and I really started to be like, why am I not studying business more? And so I started to just be self taught and dive bigger and bigger into the psychology of marketing and sales. That's where my niche was like that. Like I found out I love actually the psychology of marketing and sales. So I started going really deep and I needed an outlet for that. So I eventually found out that there's not tons of money in a party business, and I sold it.
Okay.
And the reason why is because you are kind of the business. People wanted me. It was me that they wanted. And so I would go to a party and I would get a referral for another party and a referral for another party. And there's only so much of me to go around. So but I figured out very quickly because, like, around 2007, I mean, the internet and internet marketing and everything, it just really started to take off in a big way. And I know that you were coaching in 2007. Hey, if you're an accountant, if you're a bookkeeper and you don't have a website yet, this is a big thing. And you started to help people understand the power of the internet. And I went deep. I went deep on internet marketing.
Okay.
So deep that I started cracking the code to generating a massive amount of website traffic. And I became what's known as a super affiliate. So I stopped being a party guy from party guy to super affiliate.
Okay. Those years were over.
Yes. So, imagine Daniel waking up every morning in his pajamas and just plugging away at the internet and figuring out how to make money fly out of the screen. That was me. And I was making it work. So those memes that you see where the money's flying out of the screen, where it looks like a scam, yeah. I was actually doing that. And it wasn't a scam. I was actually making money, which is the really cool part. But I started to run into a few problems. And this is where I transitioned once again because of the problems I ran into. The problems happened from copycat competitors.
Interesting.
I would build websites that were extremely profitable. And then I would have copycat competitors completely rip them off. We're talking word for word, image for image sometimes, ripping off my websites. And then this was around 2009 when I started to run into all these copycat competitors.
Okay.
And shortly after, I met my business partner down in Brazil. Now, this is where things get really interesting. I met my business partner down in Brazil, and he had a marketing agency. And what he kept on running into was clients needing help because they kept on getting copied in their business. So I was getting copied as a super affiliate. He was helping a lot of people get copied they would have copycat competitors. Let me paint the picture for you, okay, Roger. Sometimes down in Brazil, if you open like a hair salon, like right next door, like if people see that you're making money, like literally right next door, they will set up a competitor. Like we're not talking about like a mile down the road. We're talking about next door. They will set up their shop because they see that you're making money and they want some. So that's the level of copycat competition that happens at times down in Brazil. We run into it in the United States in a big way as well. People copying us. And when it comes to accounting and bookkeeping and everything, there's a lot of copycats out there. And there's a lot of commoditization that we have to deal with. And we're going to jump into that. But the bottom line is we started attracting all these clients that needed help differentiating their business and breaking through the noise. And so for the past 12 years, we have been helping business owners break through the noise, including many accountants, break through the noise and avoid commoditization, avoid price wars. And we have done it through our methodology called the X Factor effect. And that's where we had a big bang and a big impact in the world and was able to help, to date, over 20,000 students and clients break through the noise in their niches.
So what's interesting about what you're sharing here is it's an evolution. Once a business figures out what's resonating with their client base, what's working to more or less grow the business, they're finding that they can't become stagnant with just that simple method. They have to understand that it will eventually be duplicated by others. It'll be copied. It's mimicry is the highest form of flattery. And all of a sudden we're at this point where we've got to reinvent ourselves. Is that more or less what you're describing?
Yes. And it's really frustrating if you get to that point and you keep on thinking that you need to reinvent. We're in 2024. Information wants to be free. The information on how to grow a successful accounting firm is out there. Roger has spilled the beans through this podcast. Freely, because information wants to be free.
Uh-huh.
And so to avoid the hamster wheel, which we unfortunately, it's one of the things we have to deal with as business owners and entrepreneurs is the hamster wheel, right? To avoid that, we have figured out ways to stack your differences that make a difference in your niche market in a way where you become such a unicorn in your niche that, yes, people can copy some of the things that you do, but if they copy everything that you do, then it gets to the point where it's laughable and very, very obvious. And so basically we kind of like to say that we've cracked the code to somewhat, not 100%, but somewhat becoming uncopyable in your niche. And when you do it in a way that your dream customers love, it positions you as a market leader and or a category king or queen inside of your niche.
I'm really liking this because it's something that I've experienced personally for years, especially after I became president of Universal Accounting. I struggled with what was it that I was going to do that is unique, that could help us stand out within the market. And it was really a journey. I mean, it wasn't anything that really came to me overnight. And in that process, I came to realize that I needed to be genuinely me. And honestly, at the end of the day, I needed to accept the fact that certain people would be drawn to me and others may not. They may, in fact, be repelled by me. And it's just the fact that each of us have those unique characteristics that are inspiring to others, that gravitate those of similar mindsets. And all of a sudden, you just get this group of people that you have things in common with and that really appreciate one another's work. And that's very empowering. So at the end of the day, what are some of the ways that business owners can actually take, steps to break through the noise and be themselves?
Well, you mentioned one of them. So we have with the X Factor effect, like I said, we're trying to stack those differences that make a difference. You mentioned one of them. One of the 9 pillars for the X Factor effect that we teach, we call it following the celebrity code. That's about you giving a face to your brand and becoming uniquely you, becoming that authority, that expert, or that celebrity, which you've started to be able to do, Roger, especially with things like GrowCon. Like, who else has GrowCon? That's a Roger thing. That's Roger's. Roger is the GrowCon guy. And so when you build things like that, which GrowCon, that's another. So you're building an experience there. That's another one of the pillars that we teach. Yes. Join the age of experience. So you're at least, and I know you're doing more, but you're at least following what we call the celebrity code, which was one of the pillars, and joining the age of experience through your events, which is the second thing. And so those are 2 extremely powerful things that you can do. And then since you followed other things that we also teach, you've basically been able to stack your differences that make a difference. So if I tried to create an event, and let's say I call it Grow Accounting Com, okay?
Okay.
All right, it's Grow Accounting Com.
Stop already.
and then I, let's see, let's say I used to live in Utah for a long time. So let's pretend I still live in Utah. Uh-huh. And then so I graduated from BYU. And then, you know what? I haven't gotten a communications degree yet, but let me go out and get a communications degree. And then I don't remember I think you've written some books as well, right? So let me write some books that are very similar to the topics that Roger, at some point, because you are known, right? You're known through, you've been with Universal since 99. And so, and then you've got that on me. So you've got at least a decade's more experience than me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I come in and I'm like, I'm going to be just like Roger, right? At some point, and I'm going to start my podcast and, the Premier Accounting podcast and, various, it gets to the point. So does this sound ridiculous?
Yes.
That's the question. The answer is yes, it does sound ridiculous. And at some point, it's so ridiculous to the point that people are going to point it out. They're going to call Daniel Dent out and say, you are literally trying to be a copy of Roger Connect. And when they figure it out, the gig is up. My growth is going to stop. And I'm not going to be able to mimic the market leader. I'm not going to be able to mimic what you've done. Now, I could take it even further because I know more about some of the really cool things that you've done to differentiate yourself, like some of the courses that you've put together.
Mm-hmm.
For example, and we talk about this with the X Factor effect, creating unique methodologies with unique names. So, like, for example, you teach the Value Builder course, just one of many really cool things that you teach. Also, the Profit and Growth Expert course. If I started teaching similar concepts, similar courses, and started to claim those as my own methodologies, it just gets even more ridiculous. And at some point, you're probably going to hit me with a lawsuit as well.
Get ready.
But the point of all this is we can all be like Roger in the way that he has stacked his differences that have made a difference. We can stack differences. We can niche down in a different way than Roger has niched down. We can create methodologies and really sticky concepts and content for our clients that our clients love, advice that our clients love. And we can create and we can name those as, unique ways based off of our paradigm, based off of our own personal business stories and methodologies. You can come up with things that are different to you. You can write a book based off of a methodology that you've come up with that has worked for your clients that is unique to you. You can create events and create experiences that are unique. Okay, Roger does events in Jacksonville. A great place to do events. Don't do an event also in Jacksonville. At least do one in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a really cool place to go too, right?
Yeah. But what you're talking about here are various very important principles, steps that someone can take. And it's not the fact that they need to do exactly like someone else. It's the fact that they can own that process and do it uniquely themselves to stand out. To be a podcaster, it doesn't mean you have to do the same show, same type of show, address the same topics. It just means that you can have your own voice and speak to the things that matter to you and your clients. And these things that you're speaking of, they have been part of my journey simply because of the fact that I felt that my client base needed these things. And as you were saying earlier, with information being free, I felt that there was a way that I could communicate to them more effectively. And so if I could do it in curriculum, actual recorded trainings, in a very simplistic process where a methodology was taught that they could then become ultimately certified, perhaps, that's powerful. Write a book, become a podcaster. You've indicated some of the things that took time. It's not that I was initially doing this 2 decades ago. Each of these things evolved, and it took time to develop the skill sets to really be able to do them as I have, with a lot of intent, a lot of purpose. And so all of a sudden, what you're describing here are what you said, the 9 factors or steps that can be taken to really differentiate yourself. So I want to get to the point of saying, where does someone begin? Because clearly there are some effective things, tools that can be used, methodologies that can be implemented, but where do you start?
Yeah, and unfortunately, the answer is the boring one. Oh, you asked the question that has the boring answer, and you probably intuitively, well, let's just be honest. We're talking to Roger Connect here.
Are you going to say Avatar?
Yes, I am.
I say the same thing.
Roger, you knew it, and it's because on top of everything you do, you're also a business coach. I mean, you and I, we're business coaches. So we've got some commonalities there. You can't avoid it. You can't. So we say marry one of the 9 pillars, and it's the one, if whenever somebody's like, which one do I start with? It's marry the perfect avatar. Now, what that means is that it's a two-way street. Okay. So you're going to niche down, you're going to pick an avatar that you want to work with. And then you are going to work on your marketing message in a way so that you're also attracting that avatar. Now, if I want to work with, let's say, 70-year-old real estate moguls, all right? We're talking about people that own like apartment complexes. Now, as an accountant, all right, as a CPA, tax advisor, whatever it is, that's a really good avatar. There's a lot of money there. So that's a good one. Now, at the end of the day, if I can't adjust my marketing message and attract those 70-year-old real estate experts and investors that have all these doors, then it's not going to work. Now, I was just watching on Netflix, so Better Call Saul, which it's a great series.
It is.
So let's just be honest. So accountants aren't as hated as lawyers, but sometimes they are, right? And sometimes they're the superhero. So it just depends, right? Sometimes you're the hero, sometimes you're the villain. That's just the reality of, bookkeeping, accounting, tax advising. Yeah, it's just the way it is. And there's so Saul Goodman in the series, it just so happens that the common thing in the beginning of the series is old people love him. He really, like, the old people love him, just absolutely. Now, I've never tried it. Can I get those 70-year-old real estate investors to love me? If I want to work with them and I can get them to love me, and I can, because that goes down to me, right? And my personality, and then my marketing message. Can I attract them? And then, can I position myself as the right expert for them? Am I speaking their lingo? And if so, then we've succeeded in marrying the perfect avatar. I want to work with them. They want to work with me. Mm-hmm. Great. And that's where we always have to start when it comes to differentiating anything, bookkeeping, accounting, tax advising. We have to marry the perfect avatar and niche down in a way, because it is extremely hard to be a generalist, especially as an accountant, because accountants are all over the place. There's too many of you. And so if we're not trying to niche down and marry the perfect avatar, then you're likely dead in the water, because you're going to be trying to work with everybody. And it's kind of like those restaurants. Roger, have you ever been in those restaurants where they serve Japanese food and Chinese food, and for some reason they also serve pizza and they serve hamburgers?
I think you're describing Cheesecake Factory, by the way.
There you go. Well, I guess that breaks my example, because Cheesecake Factory is super popular.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like going to a buffet, right? You go to a Chinese buffet and over there, there's a hamburger. So there's an interesting part to all of this. I'm going to go back to where you were trying to vilify the accounting profession with the lawyers. I would dare say we're actually the messengers of bad news oftentimes, that there's no money in the bank, that they owe taxes. And so we're not necessarily the bad guy. We're just the messenger. And sometimes we get shot as the messenger. So that's one of the bad things about being the messenger, is sometimes you get the bad rap. So that might be appropriate to say. But as it relates to the client, I think your point is very important to say, as we look at our avatars, as we look at our ideal clients, unless we're clear as to who it is we're trying to target, our messaging is not specific. We're not able to articulate well what we do and how they benefit. And so at the end of the day, until we're very clear as to who we service, it's hard to explain the services that we offer and the benefits they receive working with us, because we're just saying we do anything and everything as it relates to numbers. So we've got to be abundantly clear, to your point. But the other thing that I think that the avatar also allows us to start figuring out is the experience. What's the wow factor? What are we going to do that's going to uniquely make that experience of our services such that they do not feel that what they're paying for is a commodity, that they're just paying for a task to be performed. What we're doing is we're giving them this unique experience that they don't get from any other service. And that's because it's partly the industry we're servicing, partly the service we're providing, but also the processes we're using in the business to deliver that experience. What would you add to that?
Yeah, I would say that experience, I mean, going back to the simple fact that you're doing events for people, is probably in the realm of from what I've seen accountants do, generally speaking, to differentiate themselves. It's probably one of the least utilized methodologies with what we teach. People love a great experience. Okay. And people, like, let's be honest, I don't know what my accountant's face looks like. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of us who use CPAs to help with bookkeeping, accounting, and tax advising, a lot of us don't have a real relationship. Some of us do, and a lot of us don't. And so now my guy's out of Vegas, and he specializes. The way he's niched down is he helps a lot of expatriates
Mm-hmm.
with their taxes, because as an expat, if you've ever thought about doing it, you get double taxed for the most part. You get taxed in the country where you're earning the money, and you get taxed still by the United States. Now, I'm not an expat, but I have been working with my business down in Brazil over the past 12 years. And so I was getting double taxed. Okay. And I needed somebody to help me navigate those taxes. And that's why he was perfect for me. But outside of the fact that he was my best solution, and this came from a referral, I do not know what he looks like. I do not have a relationship with him. Now, to fix that, I mean, I've been using them for years. And I finally got an email one day that says, "Hey, we want to get to know our clients better. So we're inviting everybody out for coffee on us."
Okay.
Great. It's a start. It's a start. Now, albeit a very small and belated start, but it's a start. So the question is, when it comes to customer experience, what kind of experience are you providing? What kind of FaceTime are you providing? What kind of relationships are you building? Are you can, if you're niche down, you can put on, small fun events for, let's say you're going the real estate investor route. For real estate investors, it's sponsored by you. You're up there, you're speaking for 30 minutes, but you've also brought together some other people, and it's a party, whatever it is. These types of events generate business.
Yeah.
And I've seen not enough accountants and tax advisors doing this type of thing.
Okay. So regarding your X factors, you've got your 9 steps. I want to talk about the book now. You wrote the book, Ideas That Influence. What caused you to want to write the book?
Yes, thank you so much. The book is one of the 9 pillars. Only one of them.
Right
no. And this is how in depth we go. Yes, ideas that influence. So it's one of the 9 pillars. This is all about having a wildly successful marketing message that breaks through the noise. Okay. So when it comes to in 2024, we have a problem. The problem, and this is according to a recent Forbes article, is that we're all exposed to about 4,000 to 10,000 different advertisements and marketing pieces and things vying for our attention every single day. 4,000 to 10,000. And that is really tough, because if you're trying to speak with your dream customers, you need to be that one thing that they remember today. So the question is, how do you become the one thing that your dream customers remember today? Because usually one thing is remembered. If I ask you, Roger, what's the one ad you remembered yesterday? Usually you're going to remember one or none because there's too much noise out there.
Yeah.
There's too much noise. And so the book is all about that, and it's about crafting. Now, of course, we have to talk about Avatar in the book as well. We talk about Avatar and everything. But once we've gotten past the boring part, quote unquote, we help people craft that marketing message that breaks through the noise. And that's what the book is all about.
So here's something I want to bring up from chapter 7. This is something that I wanted your insights on. You have here 3 categories, 3 C's. It's convincing call to action, central concept, or core belief. I wanted you to elaborate on those 3 for me.
Awesome. So convincing call to action. So what we realize after studying lots and lots of advertisements is that the best, most effective advertisements, they fall into one of these 3 categories. A convincing call to action. So when Roger tells us about GrowthCon, we immediately imagine ourselves hanging out with Roger and the group of people in Jacksonville, Florida. And if we can get our butts there, we want to do it because this is a convincing call to action. This sounds fun and profitable, and like this is something that I want to do to help grow my business. So that's a convincing call to action. Great. Okay. That's part of one of the ways that you can craft a marketing message that works. There's 2 other ways. Okay. So central concepts, lots of times if you study the most effective advertising, it's centered around a central concept, a story that gets told over and over again and people remember it. For example, those old Budweiser commercials. Budweiser.
Got the frog.
That, let's just be honest, like, so I mean, what was the last time that they ran one of those? Yeah, with the frogs. I don't
20 years ago.
It was a long time. Yeah, it was a long time. But it's like this story that was told over and over again. And that was a central concept. And a lot of the most profitable advertising messages that get stuck in our minds that are remembered and shared over the years, they fall into this category of a central concept. We, if you haven't met, I don't know if you've ever driven down, which city is he in? Anyway, I forget which city the Blendtec headquarters is in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it's there in Utah.
Yep.
And so I had the privilege of, I reached out to Tom Dixon and I said, hey, can I come interview you for Ideas That Influence? I actually feature him in the book. And so he has this amazing central concept with the blenders, the Blendtec blenders.
Yep.
It's the Will It Blend videos.
Blends anything.
Yeah, they blend anything. He blends the iPhones, the iPads. He'll blend like rake handles, 2x4 pieces of wood, marbles, rotisserie chicken. These are like some of the first videos that ever went viral on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tom Dixon, the Will It Blend videos. Perfect example. It's a central concept. He's telling the same story in every single video. Will it blend? And most of the time, yes, it actually does, which is just incredible, and it leads to sales. When it comes to core beliefs, this is a fun one. And when you get this right, it's a way of grabbing your dream customers by their core. What I mean by this is lots of times when we take action in life, it happens because we have kind of an aha moment or like a mini paradigm shift.
Okay.
And so I start, a mini paradigm shift means what? That I start to see the world in a slightly different way. And this is done through the selling of beliefs. And so if I can sell to you the right belief, Roger, and I don't, off the top of my mind, I don't have a great example when it comes to accounting because I'm just not as versed as I could be. But from listening to your content, one of the core beliefs that you sell when it comes to breaking through the noise and differentiating yourself is to, whether you're a bookkeeper, an accountant, or a tax advisor, realize that the doing of the work is starting to become more and more commoditized, and it has been over the decades. That's the commoditized version of it. But the advice portion of it, advising your clients, isn't the part that is being commoditized. Because if I can give you that one piece of advice as an accountant that moves the needle in your business, or that moves the needle for you financially, or that makes your life easier, then you're going to love me forever. That's where I go from just the accountant to the superhero.
Yeah.
And so what I just explained to everybody listening today is one of the core beliefs that Roger sells, that when you can transition into that advisor role, that coach role, then you become a very sticky accountant or tax advisor, one that they never want to fire because you've already put an extra $500,000 in their pocket from a few pieces of key advice that you've shared. And that belief, the more Roger sells it, the more he attracts people to him, because that's a very good core belief. Now, the question for you is, that's listening, is, as an accountant or tax advisor or bookkeeper, what's the core belief that provides that mini aha moment or that mini paradigm shift that forms a new belief that brings people attracted to you? And once you find that as part of your marketing message, that's another type of marketing message that for you as an accountant will break through the noise.
I'm really liking this, because one of the things that's resonating is clearly this idea that the accounting profession has so much more to offer their clientele. And you're right. One of my messages is to bring to the accounting discussion, therefore what? As accounting professionals, we should be helping our clients realize that the information we're providing is to help them run their businesses more intentionally, more deliberately, more confidently. And in order to do this, we have to be able to help them see the application of the numbers we're providing. When we provide these financial reports, we need to be able to identify then, therefore what? How does this help me moving forward? And so that is part of the voice that I'm trying to bring to the accounting community. As it relates to this whole marketing discussion, I love the fact that you were able to take of these pillars, the ideas that influence, and put them to paper and actually write them down, because it's a great book, lots of wonderful principles in there, and really hope that my listeners can find the interest to really dive into this, as I feel that marketing and sales is so essential to the growth of every business. We need to be a little bit more deliberate and intentional about our efforts to market and sell our own services. So this has been wonderful. Daniel, this has really gone by quickly. I want to ask one parting question before I wrap this up. What's something that you're grateful for?
It has gone by fast. I was like, oh man, now the good news is that we got some really cool stories from both of us.
Yeah.
So I was grateful for that. But one of the things that I'm grateful for today in 2024, when I have the time, most days I'm able to go for a walk, and that's when I listen to my podcasts.
Uh-huh.
And I know it's like an old man answer, but and I'm only 41, dang it. I'm only freaking 41. But my old man answer is, I am grateful for those walks and just going out and, getting fresh air. And it's this combination of listening to podcasts like yours, Roger, and then getting that fresh air and then being out in nature. It's one of the things I look forward to in life. And so I have started to become more and more grateful for little things like that, which you could say are little things, but they're, under some paradigms, they are big things at the same time. So,
you're absolutely right. It is the little things that matter. They are great. Life is good. And that's very, very important. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to come back to you for a closing thought. As I do so, here's something that I'd like all my listeners to be aware of. Daniel has provided something here that you absolutely must do, and I can't emphasize that enough. You need to go to his website, which is basically found in the episode description, bigideas.com or bigideasbox.com is what it is actually, but go to the episode description. It's there. You can find the information you're needing to take advantage of this, but you need to grab your free book plus a free box experience. I'm going to tell you right now, it is incredible. It is a killer box experience that you need to actually take advantage of. So do me a favor, do yourself a favor, go to the episode description, click on the link and get your free copy of his book and actually apply these principles in your business. They are clearly things that we need to be considering as we're trying to better service our clientele. In addition to that, I'd like to actually invite you to take advantage of a book that I also have there that is called Your Strategic Accountant. This was written as a way of helping business owners understand better the services that we're providing. It's meant to actually help them appreciate your services and see what it is you can be doing to help them as you're actually serving their accounting needs. So definitely take a moment, reach out, go to the episode description and get your free copy of Your Strategic Accountant. Now, as a review of our conversation today, just a few summary items that stand out in my mind is, first of all, the fact that Daniel was clearly an entrepreneur from the beginning. Back in college, I'm actually working at the Mayan restaurant doing the balloon art. That's awesome. The one thing I wanted to ask is whether or not you ever jumped into the diving pool. But in any case, the whole thing that I wanted to point out there is the fact that for a lot of people, being an entrepreneur is kind of a lifelong journey. It's a unique brand of people. And I love knowing that you were able to see that within yourself to start with. And then now to grow your business and realize that there is a methodology to it, a science to this whole process. That science where it meets art really makes marketing and sales fun, and where you've identified these 9 pillars that are essential to every marketing plan. I think those are very important that we deliberately see how we can leverage each of them to build a very stable marketing and sales process within our organization. And then to read the book, Ideas That Influence, I think that's really where it gets to the point where we can see that we have an impact on our market and on our clients. So there's a lot going on here that I really encourage everyone to dive a little deeper into and become a little bit more intentional and deliberate about your own marketing and sales strategy for your company. And then as relates to Daniel's last comment, just being mindful of those little things in life. I really appreciate the fact that life can be very simplistic. Just sit back, be grateful, be happy with the things that are going on, and then identify what's going right in your life. Why? Because anything that can give us the ability to smile to one another is free, and it's very, very helpful in the sense that I think it's elevating everyone that we interact with. So it's very, very good. So that being said, Daniel, what's a final thought that you have for us?
Yes, you mentioned it right in the beginning. So final thought. So our whole thing is about being different. What we've recognized is that in 2024, different is the new better. What does that mean? That means that in people's minds in 2024, when they say something is better, lots of times they start listing off the ways that something is different. The reason for that is because we are way past the industrial age. During the industrial age, quality was a differentiator. In 2024, quality is no longer a differentiator because quality is expected in 2024. If you don't have quality in 2024, you're out of business. And so in 2024, different is what makes you better, different in a way that your dream customers love. So different is the new better.
Interesting. I love it. Very, very good. It keeps us a little bit more authentic to ourselves, and we'll gravitate those individuals that can identify with each other and with us. That's good. All right. So Daniel, I really appreciate this. This has been an excellent conversation. Thank you for your time. For my listeners, I want to invite you to, again, go to the episode description, take advantage of those offers. In addition, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the podcast. Love to have you here each and every week to listen in on the conversations I'm having. Definitely set your reminders so you get notified, and each and every week join us for these conversations. Now, as it relates to GrowCon, something that was brought up, this is clearly an event you want to attend. It is an annual conference for owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. It's here where we hear from the experts on the stage. We visit with peers and find out what's going on as we collaborate with one another as we're each growing our businesses. And lastly, we get to meet the staff at Universal Accounting and see who those individuals are that are committed for your success, committed for you to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal. So take advantage of that opportunity. Register, get your ticket now, and join us for GrowCon. And then lastly, as it relates to the principles and things that we've discussed here and on other shows, if you'd like to apply them in your business or discuss them further, reach out to us. Give us a call at Universal Accounting. You can go to 801-265 3777 or go to universalaccountingschool.com and reach out to us. We'd love to connect and obviously see what it is we can do to help you build the premier accounting firm in your area. So take care, be safe, and always remember this: if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care.